You've been lied to about creatine, not by one person, by gym culture, by bad journalism, by people who never read a single study. They told you it was dangerous. They told you it would wreck your kidneys, yeah, thin your hair, turn you into something unnatural. And because of that, millions of people are walking around every day with a tank that's never been full. Let's fix that. Here's what creatine actually is. Your body is making it right now. In your liver, in your kidneys, from amino acids you already eat. It's not foreign, it's not synthetic. It's yours. It gets stored in your muscles as phosphocreatine. Think of it as a battery pack sitting inside every single muscle cell, charged and waiting. When you sprint, when you lift, when you push hard, your body burns through ATP, its primary energy currency, almost instantly. Phosphocreatine's job is to recharge that ATP as fast as physically possible. More creatine in the tank means more energy before the tank runs dry. That's it. That's the whole mechanism, and it works. Here's something nobody tells you. Most people walking around right now, including you, have muscle creatine stores that are only 60 to 80% full. Not because something is wrong with you, because your body can only synthesize so much on its own, and unless you're eating large amounts of red meat every single day, you're probably running below capacity. That gap is costing you every workout, every sprint, every set where your muscles gave out 2 reps before they should have. When you supplement with creatine, something measurable happens. Strength goes up by an average of 8%. Power output goes up by around 14%. Not in professional athletes with perfect genetics and perfect sleep and perfect everything. In regular people. People exactly like you. More weight on the bar, more reps before failure, faster recovery between sets. And here's the thing about those numbers. They compound. Week after week, month after month, that extra rep becomes extra muscle, and that extra muscle becomes a fundamentally different body than the one you would have had otherwise. The International Society of Sports Nutrition calls creatine the most scientifically validated ergogenic aid for athletes in existence. That's not a supplement brand. That's the scientists. Over 1,000 studies, 30 years of research, and the conclusion every single time is the same. It works. Now let's pause on the muscles for a second. Because what's happening in your brain right now is something the fitness world almost completely ignores. Your brain is the most energy-hungry organ in your body. It consumes roughly 20% of your entire body's energy supply. Every second. Whether you're sleeping, sitting, or staring at a wall. And just like your muscles, your brain has creatine stores. And just like your muscles, those stores are probably not full. Research published in 2025 found that creatine supplementation measurably increases brain creatine levels. And when that happens, something interesting follows. One study gave people a single dose of creatine before a night of sleep deprivation. Their cognitive performance, memory, reaction time, processing speed, was significantly better than the group that got nothing. Same amount of sleep lost, same biological stress, but the brain with more creatine on board handled it better. Then there's this. 2 trials published in 2025 gave Alzheimer's patients 20 grams of creatine per day for 8 weeks. The researcher leading the work described the cognitive improvements as very, very effective. We are not saying creatine cures Alzheimer's, but a molecule that costs pennies per day showing up in serious neurological research, producing results that researchers describe with that kind of language, that tells you something. Your brain is not just a passenger in this. It's one of the main destinations. Now let's talk about the lies, because they've been keeping people away from one of the safest supplements ever put through clinical trials, and that needs to end today. The first one, creatine destroys your kidneys. Here's where this comes from. When you take creatine, your body produces more creatinine as a byproduct. Creatinine is a standard marker doctors use to monitor kidney function. So someone takes creatine, gets a blood test, sees elevated creatinine, and panics. But elevated creatinine from creatine supplementation doesn't mean your kidneys are damaged. It means your body is processing creatine. Those are not the same thing. Multiple large-scale reviews confirm that in healthy adults, creatine causes zero kidney damage at recommended doses. The fear is based on a misread number, not on a single damaged kidney. The second one, creatine makes you go bald. This comes from one study. 1. Done in 2009 on a small group of rugby players that found elevated DHT levels, a hormone sometimes associated with hair loss in people already genetically predisposed to it. That finding has never been reliably replicated. A 2025 analysis across 685 separate trials found hair loss was not a consistent side effect compared to placebo. Not one study has ever directly shown creatine causing a human being to lose their hair. One study, never replicated. Still being repeated as fact 15 years later. The third one, creatine causes cramping and dehydration. Multiple trials. Zero increase in cramps. Zero impairment of hydration. In fact, because creatine pulls water into your muscle cells, researchers believe it may actually protect against dehydration. This myth was so thoroughly destroyed by the evidence that it barely appears in serious scientific literature anymore. It just lives on in gym locker rooms and comment sections. So who is this actually for? The answer is probably not who you think. Athletes, yes, but also your grandmother. Research shows creatine combined with resistance training significantly preserves muscle mass and strength as we age. Muscle loss in older adults isn't just an aesthetic problem, it's a mobility problem, a fall risk, a loss of independence. Creatine slows that process. Then there are vegetarians and vegans who get almost no dietary creatine because it's found almost exclusively in meat and fish. Their baseline stores are among the lowest of any group. They also tend to show the largest improvements when they start supplementing. And women, historically ignored in sports nutrition research, show the exact same strength and muscle gains as men when they take it consistently. The benefits don't care about your gender. The dose is almost insultingly simple, 3 to 5 grams a day, plain creatine monohydrate. Not the version with 17 ingredients. Not the one in the flashy tub with a celebrity on it. Monohydrate, the cheapest form, the most studied form, the one behind every finding in this video. You don't need to load, you don't need to cycle on and off, you don't need to time it perfectly around your workout, you just take it. Every day. The same way you take nothing else, you probably should. Here's what this really comes down to. Creatine has spent 3 decades being misunderstood by people who never read the research and feared by people who read the wrong things. Over 1,000 studies later, the answer is clear. It works, it's safe, it costs almost nothing, and the version of you that's been taking it consistently for the last year, stronger, sharper, recovering faster, that version exists. It's just waiting on the other side of a decision you could make today. Your muscles have been running at 70% this whole time. You just didn't know it.